Hello everyone, welcome to Respectful Dave, welcome to this live stream. Assuming that we are live, this is the position of the live stream's thumbnail. Essentially the Alpine Sicilian. Of course, if black wanted to deviate from that and was annoyed at that, they could play knight c6. We can still play c3 in this position if we are big fans of the Alpine Sicilian. But we would already need to know what to do against d5, which is not that easy to figure out over the board. So d4, black is going to threaten to double our pawn structure. So after bishop takes f3, g takes f3, we would be having isolated double pawns. So we don't want that. We play bishop e2. And already here, for example, e6, bishop e3, we're going to force black eventually to take on d4. And our knight is going to come out on c3, and we have a decent position. Swordsmaster, wow. That was quick. Welcome. Why you play puzzles before a tournament? Because it warms up. It warms you up. Sometimes when you haven't played chess in general, like even before I'm gonna play casual blitz with my friends, I warm up by solving puzzles. It's a balance that you have to figure out, because you don't want to solve that many. You don't want to get tired. But yeah. So we're gonna aim to play that as white, and as in the last live stream, if I'm not mistaken, I aimed to play 1d6 against essentially everything, and against c4 I could play c5 as well. So we'll play it by ear. Hello, Janny. Wow, why did Swordsmaster not appear on the chat before? It's a mystery. Now let's just make sure. Okay, so let's solve some puzzles before we start playing rapid, as we usually do. So this one is 2786. Actually, this is normal, which means that we would be getting a approximately 2700 puzzle. I don't want that. These are the level of puzzles that I usually solve on my own time, and if I were to do this on stream, I would be sitting quiet, not explaining my thought process, and I don't think you guys get the value out of your time there so much. I guess there's a Japanese concept called koin or kun. This is to practice the fundamentals first. Responding to the puzzles thing, right? Yeah, sometimes you're just too rusty. Okay, I'm gonna select easiest, which means that now this puzzle should be around... Actually, sorry, easier. I don't remember which one I was using. So now this puzzle is gonna be around 2100. You're gonna say, David, that's too easy. No, that's still pretty tough. So I'm gonna change the layout now that you guys know what rating this is. I'm gonna change the layout. Now, the board is slightly bigger. And let's begin. So, white plays king f3. We are in a rook and pawn endgame. Of course, kings are always over the board, so it kind of doesn't make sense to mention them. So, rook and pawn endgame, we're down 2 pawns. But on the other hand, our pawn, well, first of all, it's our turn. It's our go. It's our move. We get the chance of pushing our pawn very close to the to promoting. So a2 is my first candidate move already there. I've quickly evaluated the position. It's clear that white is the favorite in terms of material, but it's not the favorite in terms of activity. Our pawn is much more active than, let's say, these two. And this one is not as good because our king is on d8, stopping it. The first candidate move I'm going to think of is a2. So a2, there's only one way I can see white stopping that pawn, and that is rook h8, followed by rook a8. So immediately there, I get a little bit discouraged from playing a2 right away, because rook h8, king d7, rook a8, and I'm essentially losing that pawn. And yeah, sure, after king takes d6, rook takes a2, we could get into a drawn endgame, because even though white is up 2 pawns, that is theoretically drawn. One of my how do you call this, teammates drew this recently. A very young teammate, very talented teammate. So rook a4, exactly, rook behind the pass pawn. So rook a4 is the next candidate move. This is what we call collecting data from the main line, or actually just collecting data from calculating first. So by calculating a2, rook h8, we've collected information that white is happy to put the rook behind the pawn. So as a result, we change our minds. What is this? We change our minds, and now we put our rook behind the pawn. And essentially, I think we're winning. So let's play rook a4, rook h8, king d7. There's nothing. Let's really try hard. No, there's nothing. Rook a4, it's just game over, because there's no way white can stop a2, for example. They can give a check. King d7, they can give another check. We take the pawn. They can continue giving checks. Eventually, I'm going to get close to the rook, and it's hopeless. And after rook a4, let's say white tries to go back. It's too late. So rook a4. This is essentially the same thing as rook g6, but with rook e6, trying to go for rook e1. I'm going to go a2. And this is the answer to the puzzle. Okay. Next. Well, this one is a little bit easier, I think. Let's see if someone has any ideas. So first of all, obviously we've sacrificed some material, but on the other hand, our king is much safer, than our opponent's king. Our opponent's king on g7 has no pawns around it. It has 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. Essentially every single piece we have, excluding pawns, is playing a big role at attacking the black king. What I was going to say is that, of course, we are down. Essentially, we have a knight for a queen. We do have a couple of pawns in exchange. And additionally, it is our move that increases our evaluation, always. The first candidate move you should think of is rook f7. Uziel, hey. Rook f7, king takes h6, rook h7, king g5 is the first thing that you should get in. Because everything has been forced until then. Rook f7, king takes h6, rook h7, king g5. Is there anything there? Well, all of a sudden we kind of run out of checks. So maybe it's not rook h7. There's also rook f7, rook 1 f6, which comes with the idea that after king g5 we have rook g6, king h4, rook h7. So all of a sudden we have the task of not getting, or we're left with a little bit of a trap where it's very easy to just go into the rabbit hole of rook h7, but after king g5 it turns out maybe this is not that easy. In fact, rook g7 in that position, just to follow it up one more move, king h4, and surprisingly the king on h4 is not getting mated. We can repeat, but repeating is not that good. And actually black can go king h6, sacrifice the queen, and after knight takes f1, black had such a big advantage in terms of material that this is more than enough. Gianni, rook f7, king takes h6, rook 1 f6. Queen g6, you mean? Sorry, what do you mean there? King g5, I'm assuming. What do you mean here? This. Oh, sorry. I mean, you didn't give a move, but okay, yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah. Trying to decipher. I mean, I'm assuming king h5 is the best defense. Rook h7, king g5. Is that what you mean? Yeah, king g5, okay. So this king g5 is doesn't put much resistance because of rook g6 and rook h7, right? So the best resistance is king h5, if I'm not mistaken. And then rook h7, king g5 is a little bit trickier. But still, I'm assuming that we have rook g6 in that position. King f4 is only move. Rook f7. Once again, black has an only move, which is knight f5. We take the knight. King e3 is the only move. We take the queen. And all of a sudden, thanks to black's king being under hazard, sorry, safety hazard, what am I saying? Under being clearly exposed from the initial position, we enter a forced line in which black has to give up both the knight and the queen by force, and we end up being up material rather than down material. So well done, Jenny. Check. Rook g6. Another good thing, and something you should always try to do when you're solving puzzles, is that I've seen many people go like, okay, rook f7, and then start thinking here. Or for example, they didn't see king h5, and they start thinking here. I mean, it's acceptable because sometimes you have the feeling that there's nothing else you can do other than giving that check or something like that. But in theory, you should try to expect all the best moves of your opponent, because that's that's the closest you can get to imitating what you would be going through in a real game. Okay, we have an endgame now. So the first reaction I have is, I mean, of course it's equal material, right? Knight, bishop. Our pawns are extremely active. Black's pawns are in the initial squares, so our pawns are closer to promoting. We have the chance of trading the knight for the bishop. And then that's where I stop. Now knight takes b3, a takes b3 is my first kind of move, because it's the, there's no checks, so the next forcing move in chess other than checks are captures. So I capture this. A takes b3, king c3. I try to take the pawn and see if these pawns can exist without the help of the king. In other words, I'm trying to figure out if those pawns can defend each other. And if they can, then I'm just up a pawn in a king and pawn endgame, and that's easily winning most of the time. So knight takes b3, a takes b3, king c3. It turns out that black can play king d5. Viking. I'm doing well. What about you? You're gold today. I thought that you always had the same color. Today you started the stream at the perfect time. Just completed work, and yes, sorry, random BS, and yet I'm glad. I'm glad. We have to work on our chess. I have to work on my chess. I failed to convert a winning position over the weekend. I played a FIDE tournament. It's insane. I can show it to you afterwards. I mean, you can check it. It's so sad. Either way, I need to work hard. You guys need to work hard. We all need to work hard. What was I saying? Knight takes b3, a takes b3, king c3. Yeah, so my idea was that if these pawns can defend each other, then I'm just up a pawn. But of course, everything leads to... It seems like the answer to that question is no. We can't defend, or those pawns can't defend each other. They will fall one by one. So after king d5, the black king seems to be pretty active. Yeah. I mean, we can try e6, f6, g6. That's why I'm taking some time there. So takes, king c3, king d5. I was thinking about g6 for a while. I was thinking about f6 for a while. But f6, g6, game over. I'm even probably losing in that position. e6, f takes, e6, f6. I'm not losing, but it's a draw after takes, and king d6. So yeah, it's not knight takes b3. Knight takes b3 should have been tried, and you guys should think about captures and checks and forcing moves. But turns out it does not work now. Next candidate move. So now I'm thinking of f6. Why? I'm creating an obvious threat of f takes g7. There's g6, which I immediately reject because of e6. F takes e6. Wow, that works. Never mind. f6 g6, but that seems wrong. Takes, king c3, king d5, and that's exactly the same position we calculated. Yeah, YouTube changed it. I wonder if I have power over that. I mean, it looks cool if you're golden. But normally you would be blue. So it's weird. I don't know. F6, G6. E6, F6, E6. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Look at this. F6, G6, E6, F6, E6, knight takes B3, 8 takes B3, and you would think here, oh no, this is a draw, because we have to stop this pawn from promoting. We have to spend a tempo with king c3, and that gives black enough time to come back. King d7, king e8, king f7. Or you know, black is in this square. We don't have to do that. If f6, g6, e6, f takes e6. By the way, bishop takes e6, just knight takes e6, f takes e6, f7. And we're promoting first. This pawn is too slow. So f6, g6, e6, f takes e6. Knight takes b3, 8 takes b3, f7, b2, f8, b1. It looks like it's a draw because we both promoted. And I think actually it is a draw because I missed that there's king d6. Never mind. I thought I was onto something. Because I thought there was queen c8 in this position, but there's king d6. The only move. Of course, black can't move to the b file because this would be skewering, winning the queen ultimately. But queen c8, king d6. Ah, that's a shame. What about queen d8, king c6? I can't force anything. Doesn't seem like it. Yeah, that's so sad. Okay, f6, g6 then. I'm a little bit stuck here. f6, g6. e6, f takes e6. King e5? Wow. What a move. If a3, we just take the bishop, so black should accept the gift, but then we go f7 and we promote much quicker. So I think, let's just summarize this. We started by calculating knight takes b3 first, and after it takes b3, king c3, some positions in chess, maybe with our pawn, if our pawns were on f4 and g3 rather than f5 and g5, sometimes white manages to bring the king back just in time, because the pawns are not that weak. But after takes king c3, it turns out that black's king is getting way too active. After king d5, my pawns are gonna fall one by one or get traded for black's pawns in one way or another, which means that we're not winning. But we had to calculate that because it's a forcing move, it's a capture. We moved on. We started thinking of f6, e6, and g6. I started with f6 because it creates a very direct threat, very clear threat of f takes g7, which would be winning. And as a result of that, black has ways of responding to that. We tried with the passive g6. I say passive because g takes f6 seems a little bit more active. It's capturing, it's more forcing. We haven't taken a look at that yet. But after g6, hello Adam, I'm going to play a rapid arena. Maybe we can join in the same arena and you have the chance of playing. But if I'm completely honest, we're not probably going to get the chance of playing. I was talking about this in the last stream. You guys can join the Respectful Dave team, and I'm planning to make an arena tournament at some point when everyone is asking, like 5 people asking, let's say, and finally we can play a tournament. But until then, I think I'm going to continue solving puzzles. Sorry about that. f6, g6 runs into e6. And after f takes e6, there's this beautiful, I mean, it's a well-known motive, king e5, not allowing black's pawn to move. This pawn on e6 is actually a problem for black. Black would rather not have that pawn, but we're using that pawn as a shield for our pawn on f6, and we're going to play f7, f8. We promote and we win. So after f6, g takes f6. Let's take a look at this. I think it's interesting. E takes f6. What does black play here? What is our threat? Our threat is g6. Our threat is g6. Because after takes, there's takes. Wait a second. No, g6 is not even a threat. So f6, g takes f6 is annoying. Huh. Maybe it's just the same thing. We go g takes f6, but then king c7. f6, g takes f6. E takes f6, king d6. And that doesn't look right. So g takes f6. How about a lobby? I think that's more or less the arena tournament in the team. If there's 6 to 10 people who want to play, we can play an arena. Yeah. f6, g takes f6. G takes f6. G takes f6. Okay, let's say black plays a neutral move with bishop c2, just to see if our threat is real. We have e6. And after f takes, we have f7 and we're winning. And for example, bishop a2. This time we have e6. So f6, g takes, bishop a2. e6, f takes e6, king e5. The same motive. And we could have taken on a4 at some point as well. Maybe. So f6, g takes f6, g takes f6. King c7. Now we go e6. If king d8, we have e7 check. King e8. Ooh, and knight b7 at the end, right? And knight d6. And there's nothing black can do. So f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king c7, e6, f takes e6. We have king e5. I know, but king d8. So it's not that. So f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king c7. e6, f takes c6, we go... Oh, this is annoying actually. King e5, king d8. How is this? f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king c7. Hey, Ulysse. Hello. Struggling with this one. It's super easy. Well, clear enough for me. Ay. And it's not rated that high. It's like 2100. This is the streamer setup. Sorry, streamer effect. I wish I performed normally. This is my excuse, at least. Maybe I am, mediocre in general. f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king c7. f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king c7. Maybe it's just king c3. But that's such a weird move. The idea is that after bishop d5, e6. And then f takes e6, f7, e5 is no longer checked, so we just promote. Knight takes b3, sorry Jenny. Knight takes b3, 8 takes b3, king c3, and you play 3 versus 2. Yeah, maybe I'm tired. Nah, that's just an excuse, Viking. There's no excuse. I had plenty of time to rest. Had a very, I mean, reasonably relaxing day yesterday. Physically speaking. Mentally speaking, I wrote an essay. But okay, going back to the chess. Knight takes b3, 8 takes b3, king c3, king d5. I see f6, g takes f6, g takes king c7. No, because you said 3 versus 2. Yeah, I think that doesn't work because of king d5. No? And e6, f takes e6, f6, king takes king d6. F6, gf6, gf6, king c7. e6 takes f7, e5. That's annoying. So we have to go king c3. But what if king d8? Then we just take. King d7, king c4, king d6, king d4. And we come right on time. And I guess that's always a winning king and pawn endgame. We're up a pawn, and then let's say we get at some point king d7, king d5, king e8, king d6, king d8. Oh, wait a second. It's actually pretty tricky because e6, king e8 back. King e5. Is that winning? Oh, it is winning. We go king c7. King e8. Yeah, we start, we essentially surround. Is there a way of forcing that? Wait a second. Is that a winning of king and pawn endgame? Knight takes b3. Knight takes b3, takes king c3, king d5, e6, f takes e6. F takes e6, king takes e6. Knight takes b3, takes b3, king c3, king d5, e6. Knight takes b3, takes b3. Knight takes b3, takes b3, king c3, king d5, e6, f takes e6, f6, g takes f6, g takes f6, king d6. Oh, I see. Wow. Yeah. You're not gonna take back. That's embarrassing. Yeah. You're absolutely right. How on earth? Yeah. You guys, Johnny, you should be streaming. Knight takes b3, 8 takes b3, king c3. This is actually very instructive. That's embarrassing. King d5, e6, of course. How on earth? F takes e6, f6, g takes f6. You don't have to take g6. And because there's a pawn on e6, black doesn't have king e6. So g7, king f7, g8. Yeah. Yeah. Knight takes b3, 8 takes b3, king c3. King d5, e6. Yeah. And if something like g6, we have e6. Well done, Jenny. And Viking. I think Viking, you also said it. If no, someone else probably. Hey, thanks, Lolk. Someone. Hello, Roger. Oh, yeah. That was insane. Wait a second. King takes b3? Yeah. +1. Yeah. I'm questioning my existence now. Should we do one more or play rapid? Yeah. 2 more. Okay. I'm in punching bag mode. God knows what's gonna happen when we start playing rapid. Okay, let me try to make it instructive again. It's just that I don't know why I didn't consider g6. Okay, this one's knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook takes d5. Okay, first of all, we get to this position, right? We're down 2 pawns. Everything else is equal material, but on the other hand, this king seems a little bit unsafer compared to white king, given that black has pushed the f pawn. And our pieces seem to be more active in general. Now it's obvious that all of our pieces are connecting on the d5 pawn. It's obvious that the c5 queen, maybe it's a little bit misplaced, maybe a little bit exposed. Knight takes d5 is the first guy in the move. So knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook takes d5 would be kind of the most primitive and forcing linear variation. By the way, knight takes d5, there's not much black can do other than c takes d5. Maybe black can play king h8, but then we can immediately win material with knight c7, rook b8 and knight e6, at least, not more. So knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook takes d5. Let's see. Okay, obviously queen c1 check looks scary at first, but we can defend by giving another check. Rook d1, we're winning the queen. So knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook takes d5, queen b6, rook b5, queen. I mean, essentially anywhere the queen goes is going to be a win. So knight takes d5. Are we missing anything? I mean, maybe queen b5. Queen b5. That seems wrong. Queen b5. We have check, king h8, and then at least... Actually, that's not true. I was going to take the bishop, take, and then take the knight. But at the end of that line, there's rook c1, and thanks to this pawn being on b5, which is pretty funny. Knight takes d5, queen b5. We're going on 97, king h8. I mean, there must be mate there. I mean, we can go knight f6, king h8, and then take on b5, and then take on d7. There we go. And we're up material. Ugh. Knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook takes d5. If black... I don't know, black... Black is just busted. I mean, there's no way the queen can... Nowhere the queen can move that is safe. The rook b5 we had thought initially. But as Emmanuel Lasker used to say, when you find a good move, find a better one. But I don't think there's a better one here, so rook b5 is good enough. Because after king h8, let's say rook takes b6, knight takes b6. In the aftermath, we are essentially up the exchange. Because we have a queen for a rook and a knight. And it shouldn't be enough. There we go. Yeah. Knight takes d5, queen b5, knight f6, I think is the cleanest. Queen takes b5 and then knight takes d7. Rook d8, there's this. I mean, not to take on d7 because queen takes e2. So that's why we had to take. And that's why it was a little bit tricky because knight e7 is a little bit more. I don't know. I was trying things like this. Oh, unfortunately, we don't have any access to the h-file. So, and I was trying something like this as well, but none of these tricks work. So, and this is like a very good resource by black. This is a little trap. And I guess we can take on b7 and we're still clear favorites, but that's far from objectively winning. You missed knight f6. I missed it as well. Okay, g5. This is the last one. We're actually approaching 2800. But we're not getting many points because this, in theory, is the easiest we can do. If we were doing normal ones, we would be getting a little bit more. But I would be struggling much more as well. Okay, so black goes g5. We have a7. a7 is my first candidate move. Of course, a very forcing move because we're trying to promote. But quickly I realized that after rook d8, black is threatening rook a8 and simultaneously taking on f4. I mean, maybe not necessarily. Maybe this is not something to worry about that much. Because after f6 g5, something important to know in endgames where you have a knight and the knight is trying to stop two pawns and the pawns are have one file space in between each other. So in this case, the f file and the h file, there's one file in between. That the knight on h1 would be able to stop both of them without, of course, any other black piece trying to harass the knight. So if I manage to successfully distract the black rook with my pawns, then this knight alone will be able to stop the pawns. Even though it looks a little bit scary, you know, it's like 1, 2, 3. But actually after g takes f4, knight h1, you know, knight f2, knight h1, knight f2, knight h1. Like there's no axis. Yeah, a7 as a counter move. First, I think this is a good sign. This has to be the first counter move. Then maybe we can figure out if maybe b5 was the best. But I really struggle to believe this. So a7, rook d8, b5, g6 f4, knight h1. I think we're just winning because we're playing b6, b7, and there's nothing black can do. Let's try a little harder because it's easier to miss our opponent's resources than anything else during calculation. a7, rook d8, let's be disciplined. b5, g6 f4, knight h1. I don't see anything. Rook a8, b6. Knight h1. There we go. Okay. I've redeemed myself a little bit. That's insane that I couldn't see that. Insane. Knight takes b3, takes b3, king c3. I mean, it's the first thing that I calculated as well. A little bit worrying. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How late are we? 12:30. Okay, it's 13. Sorry, it's a decent time. I'm gonna join the rapid arena. I'm gonna go to the toilet first. Have a bite of my apple. I'll be back soon. Thanks for your patience. Okay. Thank you, Jenny. I'll try my best. Thanks for the assistance. I have to work on my endgames. Okay. So let's see. Top 99, okay. Okay, we're playing against the 1500 round 1. Okay, so in the title of the stream, I did advertise I was going to respond 1d6. Is there anything else interesting we can play? Not sure. We're gonna play d6, okay. So my opponent wants to go for a Catalan type of structure. I'm gonna play e5. Essentially inviting white to take on e5. White does not go for it. I'm gonna go bishop e7. I want to now be able to take back with the bishop, which would be slightly better than taking with the king now that I can, I can still castle short side. So takes. My opponent does decide to take on d8 at the end of the day. Knight f3, I'm planning to play probably f6. Knight c6 is also a candidate move, but I'm going to play f6. It's playing against this knight, limiting that knight. Knight g5 is never going to be possible anymore. Okay. Now I'm going to play bishop f5, actually. Oh, wait a second. b7 is a little bit weak, so for example, knight h4, I need to know what I'm doing. I'm going to start with c6 or knight c6. c6 has the idea of just playing against this bishop, limiting it. But at the same time, where does my knight belong? So I'm not sure. I think I want to go c6 because the natural development for this knight on b1 is knight c3. Okay, now I have bishop f5. Now that knight h4 is no longer attacking b7, so bishop takes c2 is just a free pawn. Yeah, knight a3, knight c4. Well, okay, obviously knight a3. The idea is knight takes c2 after bishop takes c2. We're obviously not gonna blunder that. Okay. So this bishop is limited. This bishop only the only square for that bishop is e3. So if we manage to play bishop b6, maybe this is achieving something. I mean, potentially. So I'm going to play bishop b6. Knight c4. Bishop takes c2, knight d6, king e7. I'm hitting the rook at the end of the line. And after knight h4, which I did see, I have bishop e6 and I prevent knight c4 as a whole. So now my idea is just playing against this bishop, of course, discouraging greatly bishop e3 now that leaves white with a horrible structure. And I'm going to follow it up with knight d7 castles queenside, and I have a pretty solid position. I have no weaknesses. I mean, of course, technically you can call these two weaknesses, but they're pretty difficult to get to. If I'm planning to castle queenside, for instance, overprotecting the main weakness. I mean, we're getting a little bit too meticulous, but yeah. Position is good. So white goes e3. I guess pretty much saying, look, if my bishop is not going to be good, yours can't be good either. But I think it's fine. I'm just going to continue developing with knight d7. I'm going to castle queenside. Rook d6 is a kind of move you want to always watch out for. Because you can blunder. It's easy to blunder. It's a long move. But in this case, I have king e7. And it doesn't do much. I'm just reminding myself. So for example, knight e7, all of a sudden rook d6 potentially could be a little bit more annoying. Whoa, c4. With the idea of b3, bishop b2, I'm assuming. c4 seems a little bit anti-positional. A little bit anti-positional. Doesn't look great. I think I want my knight on f7 actually. I'm gonna play knight h6 followed by knight f7. Heading to d6 because on e7 is not going anywhere. It's actually getting on the way a little bit. So I'm gonna go knight h6. I'm expecting pawn to b3. Pawn to b4 seems extremely anti-positional because I have a5, and all of a sudden black starts getting some squares. The c5 square becomes an outpost. So h3, okay, and now I'm gonna go knight f7. I could also go castles queenside though. Actually, I'm gonna castle queenside. I want to bring the rook into the game. I think knight c5 to some extent is already kind of a threat here. Yeah, h3 I didn't understand. I think white wanted to prevent knight g4 for some reason. But I think it's not something to be worried about. Knight c5, bishop b2. Knight d3, bishop c3. Okay. What about... What about I put my bishop on a5? Let's go knight c5 first. The knight is nice on c5. I mean, I did say that going b4, a5 creates an outpost for my knight on c5, which is good. But it's already kind of an outpost because white will... I mean, it's very difficult for white to go b4. Especially because this bishop is attacking c4. So knight c5, I'm expecting bishop b2, and then I'm just going to play bishop a5. And once again, I mean, thanks to our structure and thanks to keeping our pawns flexible, I guess. I mean, that's not entirely true. But thanks to our pawn structure, these two pawn chains are actually limiting these two bishops. And you can argue, oh, okay, b4, yeah. But this is just blundering this. You can argue that my bishops are not great either. But I would argue otherwise, actually. I mean, for this bishop to not be good, white had to put the pawn on e3. And for this bishop to not be good, I mean, this bishop is decent, even with the pawn on c4. Because the pawn on c4 is a weakness. I mean, maybe I'm romanticizing my position a little bit too much. We're gonna go knight d3, we're up a rook. Yeah, the rapid arena. So if you want to join the rapid arena, you have to go to play arena tournaments, and one of them is called Rapid Arena. Hourly Rapid Arena, I think. It's called like this. Okay, so I can go bishop c7 here. And the idea is just that c1, unfortunately, in chess, when you're blundering one thing, I mean, such a big thing, like, it's not only the rook, but it's also the first rank. The bishop is hanging, bishop b2, knight takes b2, protecting the rook. I don't see any way white can survive this. Even after bishop e4. First rook takes c1, bishop takes d3, rook takes a1. Rook takes c1, rook takes c1, knight takes c1. I'm in time to save my own knight. I'm taking on a2, I'm taking on b4. I'm playing knight d5, I'm playing a5, b5. Okay, enough. I think we just have to keep an eye on time. I've had worse situations. Actually thinking of joining it, but it's gonna be unfair for everyone. I don't think so. You can win it. Win it shamelessly. My objective, I think, this time is trying to get to the first page, because usually we're a little bit too slow. So trying to balance instructive chess with speed. Okay, we're playing with the black pieces. Now we're going to try c5. c5 is a little bit more sharp. Actually, we're going to try d6. Many people go for the Alapin here. My opponent goes very principled into this line. Okay, knight f6. What did my opponent play over the weekend? g6. So I'm going to play g6 here. g3, wow, okay. So I'm essentially playing a dragon. And I was expecting the normal dragon moves. Bishop e3, I was going to play a little bit weird knight c6, f3, and e5, which is what my opponent played over the weekend. I played a FIDE tournament over the weekend. My opponent surprised me with that. And I checked it with the engine, and the engine thinks it is indeed pretty weird. But I was curious to see how bad it was with black. Either way. I think it was interesting. But we're not going to get the chance to play that, because my opponent said so. So I'm just going to play normal dragon moves. Bishop g7. I'm going to castle now. h3 is a very weird move. I'm going to go knight c6. Knight takes c6, b takes c6, e5 seems, I don't know. I don't think that's something to worry about. So now we have successfully opened the b file. Part of the ideas of the Sicilian is to bring pawns into the center. But now that my pawn is on c6 rather than on the b file, how can we exploit this? I can go bishop b7, trying to go for d5. Many openings. Going for d5 is like a moment of success, a move that frees up black's position. But on the other hand, I kind of want to go queen c7. Queen c7 is a very useful move. It keeps an eye on c6. e5 no longer works. I wanted to play rook b8, but I was a little bit worried about e5. Berserk the next 2 games, let's get to the top 10. I'll try. I should have berserked this one maybe. But I still want to kind of be instructive, you know. Okay, let's go rook b8. This is a useful move to include. Oh, but maybe we're allowing e5. Oh, okay. Let's not allow our opponent any unnecessary counterplay. So let's go knight d7. Now that the queen is on f3, it's a little bit exposed. Knight d7 is in general a kind of useful move in the dragon, I think. This pawn is doing an incredible job stopping both knight d5 and knight b5. Oh, sorry. I'm opening the diagonal for the bishop. So for example, bishop e3 maybe is a little bit discouraged because now I go rook b8, targeting the b2 pawn. White can't even go b3 because he would be dropping. Yeah, my opponent is playing pretty creatively, let's say. So h4 with the idea of h5. I think that benefits only black because I go h5. And given that the queen is on f3, I get tempted with knight e5, bishop d4. Or even like queen e3, knight g4, for example. Okay, we're going to do an Eric Rosen here. We're going to play rook b8. We're going to say, oh no. But those of you if possible, you should watch my previous match. What happened? Okay, my opponent didn't fall for it. Of course, bishop takes e7, 95 hits both the queen and the bishop. But I'm happy about b3 as well, because now this is a super diagonal. So 95 is the first candidate move that comes to my mind. f6 is another candidate move. I mean, technically bishop 67 is nothing to worry about yet, because 95 is there. But at the same time, I can't go queen a5. Oh no, I can, because bishop takes e7, queen takes e3. The question is, do I want to take the exchange? So for example, queen a5, let's say 92. I don't know. This is a very precious bishop. But I have heard before that black can simply give up dark square bishop, go f6, and black is fine. So we're a little bit on a dilemma here. I think I'm gonna go queen a5. Probably what the engine likes. Taking material and defending like crazy. Well, the leech's chat is pretty active. Okay, bishop d2. I was thinking about queen e5 here. The queen centralizes itself. Usually this would be an exposed queen, so it wouldn't be an advantage, it would be a disadvantage, because the queen is going to lose tempos getting chased around over the board. But given that we have some pressure along the diagonal, I think it's not the case. Or maybe it will be, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe this was a little bit weird. Knight f6 already, bishop 4, I'm regretting my decision. Wait a second, bishop a6. There we go. So 92 is forced, but that can't be right. We go knight c5. We can go queen b2. He sold. What is going in this position? So white, wow. White has to play knight e2, and I was calculating knight c5, bishop f4, queen b2, and I think that's fine for, and that's definitely okay for black. When my opponent plays rook e2, which is definitely not what I expected. Now, immediately I wanted to take on e2, sorry. But then I realized we can keep the tension, and I followed that up, or I kind of want to convince you guys by adding a quote. The quote of, I think, who was this? I'm not sure, but the threat is stronger than the execution. So executing the threat is actually bishop takes e2, but the threat of it is stronger. Keeping the tension is stronger. So that's why I want to kind of move the queen, maybe. Also, if I trade queens, and I'm gonna be up the exchange trading pieces when you're up in material, then that's a good idea as well. So now I'm gonna go 95. Once again, there's nothing white can do to not lose the exchange, sorry. Because as soon as this rook moves, the other one hangs. There's no way to block the action of this bishop. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the tension as much as I can. Because eventually white will have to do something, and once it's completely sure that white is saving the rook, then I take it. And I weakened. I weakened white. So this f4 move is pretty suspicious in terms of it's not very good, because now g4 is an output for the knight. It's very close to the king, and if we add that together with the fact that I have access to the diagonal, yeah, it doesn't look very good. So I'm gonna go queen d4 now. Funnily enough, if white protects this way, probably thinking, oh, look at this, now I get to protect my rook from the bishop and I get to survive, he would have lost both rooks. Bishop takes f1 followed by knight takes f2 because it's pinned. It would have been game over. So queen takes d2, sacrificing the queen here is completely unnecessary, but it has to be calculated. Bishop takes e2 is the second candidate move, but once again, do we want to keep the tension? I think we do. I think we do. d5. Bishop takes e2. Okay, let's... Not easy, actually. Let's play f5. Let's play e5. e5, f5, though. And f5, e6, and then c6 is hanging? I know, that's not true. I mean, it is true, but it's not a real threat. We go f5, we're trying to open things up. My threat is probably e5. Create points of contact. Once again, there's nothing white can do to not lose the exchange. And I'm keeping the tension as much as I can. For the sake of provoking my opponent to react to the threat, so essentially say, like, make a suboptimal move like rook fe1, and then once it's actually white, once white is actually threatening to get out of this, now we take. And we forced the suboptimal move. Maybe if I had taken here first, queen takes e2, white would have used that tempo in a more valuable way. But now we're looking pretty well, pretty good. Very intense things are always happening in the leeches chat. Okay. d5 is the candidate move, rook takes e5 is the candidate move. E takes f4 is the candidate move. We have to speed up a little bit, that's for sure. d5, it looks like I'm just blundering this, but the idea is e4 and e3. But it's not that clear. Rook takes f5, rook takes f5, queen takes e6. E takes f4. It's probably fine. d5, f takes e5. Okay, let's go rook takes f5. Queen takes e6, I'm just going to take on f4. White can't take back with the bishop because queen takes c3 is always in the air. Which means that, yeah, after e takes f4, if white has to take back with the pawn, that looks terrible. I'm going to play king h7 at some point. Just useful move. Not rushing anything. Let's take, let's make sure we're not blundering 1,000 pieces. Bishop d5, d5, king h7, we're fine. Again, bishop takes f4, queen takes c3, and g takes f4 is bad news, so I just play king h7, a waiting move. And actually, I think king h7 is pretty, like, it could be provoking white for playing bishop e4. And after bishop e4, I have knight f2, rook takes f2, queen takes f2, bishop takes f5, and I have queen takes d2. I mean, I'm quite sure there are other ways as well. What tournament is this? This is the Rapid Arena. If you go to play arena tournaments, you're gonna find it. It's called Hourly Rapid Arena. Yeah, this is absolutely winning. Here we're forced to take. I mean, we could play rook f8, but let's trade pieces. Queen c8, king h7. The king is nice and safe on h7. Sorry about that. Bishop d5, we just take. So after queen takes c8, king h7, bishop d5, we go rook takes d5. We're winning. King h7. Knight f2 ideas are in the air now that there's some contact with g3. Bishop e4. We have this as well. We have queen takes d2. I think queen takes d2 is stronger because of queen h2. Is this a safe pre-move? I think it is a safe pre-move because I mean there's nothing white can do to protect this, right? And if, for example, if white, what can white do? This is a safe pre-move, I think. I like playing that game. I mean, of course, it goes beyond actual chess learning, and you know, it's not going to be very useful to see if the pre-move is working or not. But it's like the question of how many legal moves does someone's have, which Ben Feingold kind of did with his students. Thanks for the game, Made. Let's go back. So we're gonna berserk now. We're gonna try to speed up. We're gonna play 1e4. We're gonna play knight f3. We're gonna play the 4 knights. If black had played c5, I remind you, as the title suggests of this live stream, would have played the Alapin. Okay, this is a well-known mistake. Now I can take. And I can go d4. And I have the whole center. I think it is a mistake. It is qualified as a mistake. If not, white is probably slightly better either way. Queen e7, queen d4. Takes. We're up a pawn. We're up a pawn. Our structure is a little bit damaged in the c file. Okay, that looks wrong. Let's go bishop c4, bishop b7. I mean, of course, the threat is queen d5 attacking. Well, threatening two things, the rook and maid on f7. So bishop b7 is played. Queen f3 looks tempting. Castling short side, sacrificing a4 looks tempting. Something in me is telling me to play bishop d5. Provoke c6. Drop back the bishop. And now this bishop is rendered useless. Knight e7, that knight is doing nothing. Sorry if I'm a little bit harsh in terms of, like, if you're my opponent and you're listening to this after the game. That's just the way chess works. It just sounds harsh, but we have to be very strong, opinionated when it comes to positions, I think. Let's go h4, actually. If my opponent is going to castle short side, let's go h4. And if queen c7, queen d6, now there's a point of contact. Okay, a5. Do we have to go a4? I think so. I also like the idea of playing bishop a3 at some point. My opponent could go bishop a6. I think I'm not worried about that. If queen c7, queen d6, we're getting into an endgame. In which case, castling is not such a big deal. Or, sorry, not cast... Yeah, did I say that? Yeah, not castling is not such a big deal. Bishop g5, knight c8, queen d2, f6. My opponent has to play f6, that's pretty horrendous. Looks horrible. Let's go bishop g5. It's actually not creating a threat, it's just... but I allowed h6. What am I doing? I should have played h6 first. Okay, we go bishop h4. It's still fine. Now after knight c8, there's a new tactic. Ay, ay, ay. That was very unprofessional by me. I should have played h6, converting the advantage in the best way. Maximalism. I think it's called maximalizing my chances. Maximizing. Sorry. Going back to the chess. Clearly my grammar is not working as well as my chess. So let's take on f6. Of course, black is completely busted, as they say. Bishop e2. Okay, let's see. Rook d2. What's the best way? Okay, let's go rook d2. Let's ask the question. Let's remind it we have to actually win the game. Okay, let's go f3. Bishop e6 can't be right. We just take, and it's game over. Cheetah, of course, cheetah's. Look, cheetah. Oh, you can't see it. There we go, cheetah. Cheetah is the famous, well-known player in the channel. Faceless. Anonymous. No one has ever heard anything about them. They just, like, every single stream, they send a challenge. Super mysterious. We will see if we ever actually find out who the identity of this person is. Yeah, endgame looks pretty good. Let's take the queen first. Take on f6. Thanks for the game. Normally, in the 4 knights, you go knight f6 instead of bishop c5. I think this is still not... I was curious to see if this is already objectively much better, but it's just an advantage. It's a clear advantage, so it is annoying for black. But yeah, you already need to know what you're doing. For example, bishop d6, which seems very unnatural, putting your bishop in front of the pawn. You have to play this, and then even after that, you know, you have to give up the bishop pair. It's not good. But after bishop b4, this is already super bad for black, because white just keeps the pawn. I was a little bit scared here, but we have bishop d2, which is the only move that convincingly converts the advantage. And if black has to play a 97 or something like what happened in the game, that's bad news. Okay, we're getting closer. Should we berserk this one? No, I don't think so. We're gonna play 1e4 again. We're getting serious pairings now. We're going to play another 4 knights. My opponent's probably going to play knight f6 this time. And I'm going to play pawn to h3. I actually tested this a couple of days ago. I'm essentially saying, look, I'm going to play with black. Black goes for a similar strategy. But I think now I go for d4. And this is reasonably a better version. I prefer to have the inclusion of h3, a6 in the 4 knights main line than not. I think this worked out well. We're gonna play bishop d3. Is there e5? There's another trick line here. Or was it bishop f4 and then e5? I don't remember. What was that? That was a tricky line. e5, queen e7. Queen e2. Takes, knight d5. That looks like a scotch. We're gonna play bishop d3 like everyone else. But h3 is a useful move. That was the point of my 4th move. So d5 is the main line. We're essentially playing the same thing as if our pawn was on h2 and black's pawn was on a7. But black goes rook e8. Okay. Let's play queen f3 with the idea of bishop d5. If d5. Okay. Bishop d6, very creative. Bishop e5 is the idea. Okay. Knight e2, knight g3. That's not achieving that much. Let's go bishop g5. Bishop e5, rook a1. Bring pieces into the game. 88th ranked. I'll keep an eye. h6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3. I have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes g5, g4. All of a sudden doing weird things to my queen. Rook b8 is annoying, super annoying. Super annoying. 92, we sacrifice? Let's just sacrifice. What is a pawn in the whole dimension of chess? It was just a complete butt bluff. I mean, I don't think there was enough compensation for that. But I do still have to be careful about g5, g4. Need to keep an eye. Let's go b3, because I am scared of losing the pawn. I don't think I have enough compensation. g5, bishop g3, g4, queen e3. And I think black is maybe potentially going to start regretting the weakening of the king side. Okay, what do we do now? Knight g3, knight f4, knight g3, g5. We're blundering that. We have to somehow play queen e3 and f4. The bad news, or the thing I don't like about that, however, sorry, is that my queen would be on the line of fire. But now I see an idea. I play queen e3. This is the idea. One of secret threats is queen a7, taking on a5, potentially. Of course, f4 is the main idea. After f4, I think black is just losing the bishop. So, for example, d5, f4. Maybe I should start by calculating that. Makes more sense. f4, bishop d6, there's e5. It's not threatening anything yet, I think, because I can't take anything. Rook takes e3 is in the air, but I'm threatening queen a7, technically. Or just queen f2. So it's getting a little bit interesting here. Sorry about the Apple noises. If black goes g5, I'm calculating bishop takes g5, h takes g5, queen takes g5. And I think I have f4 at the end, but it's not necessary. I can also just draw back the bishop. And the weaknesses of the king side should speak. Oh, I didn't even see this. h64, queen takes h4 is the idea. Quite clearly threatening queen h2 mate. Not very nice of our opponent. Bishop takes d8, knight 63. Bishop takes c7 has to be calculated. And what else? I think that's about it. So h64, queen takes h4, f4 is my first instinct. But after bishop f6, I'll kind of only move. I'm not sure if I like my position. Bishop takes d8, knight takes c3. Bishop takes c7. Let's say rook takes d1. Bishop takes b8. I like that. I think I'm gonna go for it. Knight takes c3. Bishop takes c7. Rook b7. Bishop takes a5. Shouldn't be that bad. But I can also take... However, that does look pretty bad. I am up a pawn though. Complicated. I also have as vision sook, bishop takes d6. If I'm gonna take on e3, I might as well sacrifice the bishop first. But the problem with that is that I think it allows knight takes d1. Oh no, wait a second. Bishop takes d6? Okay. Yeah, bishop takes d6 seemed to be working there, I think. Like rook b7, bishop takes d6. Knight takes f1, bishop takes e5. And it was a little bit more... A little bit of clearer compensation for the exchange. This one, however, probably doesn't work because of this. Knight b2. f4. And I'm taking on d6. Yeah, I looked at this, but I couldn't believe it. No, I can take. Rook takes b8, and then we have a winning. Should be. I mean, we should be doing well. So rook takes b8. Wow, okay. Okay. I clearly underestimated this. E takes d, bishop takes e2, bishop c7, bishop takes f1, king takes f1. We're winning. But my opponent's not going to play that. My opponent's presumably going to take on b8. Oh, they do. Okay. Oh no, wait a second. Am I think I'm winning bishop c7. I can take. I mean, I can also go d7 first, which is probably better. h64, queen takes g4, knight g3. I don't know. I think even bishop takes g3. We have to triplify at some point, like f takes g3, queen takes g4. I think trading queens is even worse. But I was lucky I had bishop takes d8 and bishop takes c7. I was even lucky I had this, by the way. Because bishop a6, I mean, it felt wrong. That doesn't mean it's wrong. And after f takes e5, bishop takes d3. Thanks for the game. E takes d6. I was expecting rook takes b8. And then it should be equal. Rook e1. Threatening e5. Black can take on e4. Making a knight c3, trying to go for rook e7. Maybe I have a very tiny amount of initiative, but it should not be enough. Let's berserk, let's play 1d6. Let's defend the pawn. And this defense, it gets scary for a second. It just gets scary at first, but once white runs out of threats, it's fine. Once white runs out of threats, it's fine, and as long as you know some moves, you know what you're doing. I think every time white goes f4, automatically the first move that you should try is knight f6, knight g4. And for example, knight f3, bishop c5. Or knight d7. Although you do have to keep an eye on e6, I guess. So bishop c5 is the first move that comes to my mind. After h3, I have knight f2 now. I don't. But I guess I have knight e3. Knight e7, e6. F takes e6, bishop takes e6, knight e5. Knight e7, e6. Okay, let's go bishop c5 first. Okay. Not sure if I'm worried about this. Bishop e3. Knight e3. Takes is clearly hitting absolutely everything. G2, C2, C4. B5 is a threat. Well, bishop c1 and knight e3 is probably the best. But actually, that's a good point. I was being a little bit optimistic. Bishop c1, rook t1 does keep an eye on c2. Okay, now this is, I think, just inferior. It should not be working. So I can go bishop e6. Knight g2. Let's go knight g2, actually. King f2, knight f4. Rook g1, knight h3 is always there. So maybe king d2. But then I don't have to move the knight. I think the opening was pretty successful. We've got a better structure, and we have avoided a little bit of theory. Knight e6 or knight g6? That's the question. Knight h3 is technically also there, preventing rook g1. Somehow seems a little bit more artificial. I'm gonna go for this. I guess one of the threats is bishop g4. I want to play b6 at some point. Or maybe I should stop knight c5 by playing knight d7. But as soon as I play knight d7, we already know, this is kind of annoying. h4. Bishop g4? I like bishop g4 actually. Knight g5, I have knight takes e5, keeping an eye on f7. h5, I have bishop takes f3. h takes g6, bishop takes h1. Oh, wait a second. Did I blunder? Bishop takes a3, h takes g6, bishop takes h1. Ah, it's fine. Whoa, wait a second. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, it's just a little bit scary, but it's fine. I go king e7. It's a dark square. Luckily for me, white doesn't have... I mean, not luckily. We knew it. We traded that dark square bishop. So e7 turns out to be a reasonably safe square for my king. And we also prevent knight c5. So for example, rook, we go b5, knight c3. That knight on the c3 is limited. I guess e6 is what my opponent is calculating, which makes sense. After e6, we go knight f8. Oof. Yeah, there's a little bit of initiative, but I don't think it's enough. e6, knight f8, knight c5, b6. Rook g1, we go b5, knight c3, knight takes e5. Rook takes g7, king f8. Oh, wait a second, rook g8. Okay, let's not... I think that's still technically fine because of king e7, but okay, why would we do that to ourselves? King f6 first. But then there's rook g1, rook h, or rook here, and then knight takes f7. Is the end. So we're gonna get a reasonable win. 19th place, nice. Yeah, I mean this is rapid, so I guess it makes sense if your opponents are thinking. I remember when I was younger, I used to think this is a mistake because white already gets quite a bit of I mean, white is getting tempos, right? Like, white is slightly better. Black can't castle, white can. So it's obviously better for white. And I used to, I remember playing this and, you know, thinking I'm just absolutely winning. But as long as black stops all of this, I think about here. And I think knight f6 is an important move. As long as black is doing that, I think it's fine. The other thing I was going to say is knight h6 may have been the accurate way of playing this. Sometimes. Because knight f6, technically white can put more pressure on e5 with knight f3. And I'm not sure if my knight is well positioned on f6. Either way, it's our move. White does end up going e6. I'm going to go knight f8, as promised. There's also b5, takes. But I'm going to go knight f8. I'm threatening knight takes e6, so knight c5 makes tons of sense. I'm gonna push that knight back with b6, and that is a creative try, but clearly we don't have to allow the knight to come to c7. We can play rook c8. As long as we're aware of tactics, we're not gonna fall into them. The second player in the tournament went offline while playing against you. I mean, that's good news. You're gonna win, right? c5 is technically boxing the knight. Yeah, sorry if I'm a little bit quiet. There's not much to say here. It is resignable. As arrogant as it sounds. I guess rook g1. 96. I think I had played against Nikki Piki before. Actually, here I like 96 just for the sake of simplifying. So bishop e6. If white wants to take on g7, bishop e6 needs to be played. I go king takes c6. We can start pushing here. We can play c5 as well, but I prefer... Actually, king f6 allows a little bit of counterplay, maybe? I'm not sure. Let's go king f6. I'm not that worried about the promotion because I take... You can take that pawn on a7. I'm gonna start pushing my own pawn. And I like prospects of this position. The c5 I can play by, like, if I wanted to kill this knight, but I think it's, even if we allow knight b4, it's fine. It's not going much. Not going many places. Knight d3, I'm gonna continue. Actually, I'm not gonna continue pushing because I feel we have the chance of threatening first to exchange the rooks, after which we're obviously doing pretty well. Then king e7 here. I'm gonna go h4, trying to provoke my opponent to take the pawn. 95, if you take the pawn, let's say king f6, knight takes c6, we'll continue pushing the pawn and it's going to be game over. We're gonna go check. We're gonna push. We're gonna go rook g4. Oh, wait. Okay, that was a mouse slip. Fortunately for us, it's not going to be the end of... It's not going to be the end of anything. It was very poor. Okay, let's go h3. Given that our plan of... Does rook g2 work? I think rook g2 works. Knight takes g2, h takes g... Oh no, knight takes g2, what am I saying? Okay, here. This and this. This and this. Oh, king e8 was the best. I'm misplaying this. Okay, now I have this. King h6. Thanks for the game. That was a sloppy technique by me. I didn't mean to mouse slip here. I should have played maybe rook g4 as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, but rook g4 here. I wanted to play rook d8, and then king e5, rook g5 is a beautiful mate. So they have to go king c4. That's just a shame. Okay, we took the win at the end. Nice, nice. So we're on 4th, finally, after a couple of streams. We've managed to get on the first page. Let's see if we can take the point home. The tournament home, sorry. We have 40 minutes left, so we're in time. I think I recognize someone that... Yeah, man-made Chopra. Hello. How are you doing? Man-made Chopra is a strong chess player, for those of you who don't know. The brothers Chopra. Okay, let's play e4. Okay, that's berserk. Let's play a4. What are you doing watching me, man-made chopper? You shouldn't. You should be using your time more wisely. You're not gonna learn much here. You're not gonna learn anything. This is for beginners. C4 is the main line here. I'm going to go for d4, c3, which makes the Smith motor slightly stronger because normally black plays something more meaningful other than a6. It came up on Lichess. Do you have good games on in the weekend? Yeah, e6. Now we're getting into these serious stuff. I'm gonna play bishop c4, b5, bishop b3, and like Mark Esserman trying to go for knight d5 at some point. Okay, I'm gonna castle here. I don't think black ever wants to realistically give up the dark squared bishop. That seems suicidal. So I'm assuming black is gonna follow it up with knight f97 or d6. Whoa, okay. So now automatically black, I mean black should be busted. This should be game over. But converting it is a different story. So let's focus here. As much as we want to relax, it's not gonna help us. Or maybe I'm just not aware of these positions as much as I should. Bishop a3, castle short side. Queen d6, knight c6, knight e5, knight d4. I mean, knight d4 looks winning there. But I can go a4 first. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's go a4. Squeezing. I don't need to get back the pawn. I don't need to get back material at all, actually. The dark squares are going to make black's life pretty difficult already. Okay, h6, interesting. Yeah, maybe I should have gone knight d5. But I'm not entirely sure. Queen d6. The idea is knight c6, knight d4. If I have to force rook e8, that's good news. Oh, whoa, last time I was here, I saw CM Respectful Dave. Yeah. No, I'm FM. Fraudulent Master. I got rid of the Comedic Master. Maybe I should have stuck with Comedic Master. Rook e8 makes sense. I'm starting to see some truly beautiful lines here. Truly beautiful. Bishop c5. Let's go for this. Or not. Bishop c5, knight c6. Rook b1. Okay, let's go bishop c5. It seems like the right idea. Threatening bishop b6. Knight c6 seems like the, I mean, honestly, only move. So knight c6. We go rook b1. Queen a5, kind of only move against bishop b6 once again. What on earth is black going to play after e5? Oh, I'm blundering c3. Okay. Black prevents bishop b6 through knight g6. Reasonable. I mean, it makes sense. e5, rook e1. g3, h4. I like e5. Every time black plays queen e7, I'm going to play queen d4. I mean, obviously black is going to put the knight on c6, so maybe I shouldn't stick to that religiously. Actually, knight c6. Maybe I'm losing a little bit of the grip here. That's fine. Knight c6, rook e1, queen e7. I can play bishop d3. Just preventing black from breaking with f6. And also after takes, knight e7, I can put the bishop on e4. And I think it's probably better located on e4 than on c4. I am soon, I see. Hopefully. But if you take a look at the earlier stages of this live stream, I was trying to solve a puzzle, which was around 2100 rated, which is tough, but not that tough. And I failed miserably. Miserably. But yeah, that's the aim. Let's go rook fe1. We're still down a pawn. But we're up everything else. b6, I didn't see. I didn't calculate that much. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, queen e7 forcing the queen trade. I can go a5. I'm gonna prevent f6 ideas by playing bishop d3. Technically, bishop takes g6 is annoying. So maybe black does want to exchange. Break the tension first. There's not a 4 here, but I have bishop e4 equally. And I'm gonna follow it up with something very similar, which is g3, h4. So knight g7, bishop e4. Now the idea... I mean, other than I have the bishop pair, black's dark squares are so weak. And that's ultimately what I think decides who's better. Depends on your level. If you... I was just telling someone rated around 2100, 2200. He did that. Yeah, this is not the... Definitely not the place. I think... well, I mean, I still... As sad as it is, I think still Naroditsky's videos are probably the best thing. Until someone else comes and makes something... or continues making videos. It's super sad, but yeah. That's what I used to recommend, and I will continue to recommend because those videos are insanely good. His way of articulating is insane. Your rating's 2051. FIDE, if that's your rating FIDE, you should also not be watching this stream. If you want to learn. I mean, if you want to do, you know, watch me suffer and blunder, then yeah. Knight g6. Do we allow knight c4? No. We don't allow knight c4. I could have taken it here as well. I'm not sure. I decide to keep the bishop pair. That can't be wrong. And b6, I go rook b1. As soon as b6 happens, actually, b6 becomes super weak, super vulnerable. And for example, b6, rook ab1, bishop b7, I have knight d4. Okay, black goes knight c6 back. Yeah, I have a nice position here, I like it. But I have to play much quicker. Bishop e4. Black can go f6 now, actually. How did that happen so quickly? Okay, that's now a weakness. Let's go rook b1. This is what I was hoping for, actually. Now this is collapsing. Well, that was quick collapsing. I can already transform the position after rook c8 with... Sorry, bishop c8 with bishop e7. But I think I can go for more. I can go for more with rook d1. Let's go rook d1 regardless. We're not blundering knight e5 because we have bishop b7. Or rook b7, even better. that I absolutely forgot about. Yeah, this is annoying. Shouldn't have allowed this. Take this, rook takes d6. There's a very interesting line here. Knight a5, bishop b7. Okay. Wait a second. That's a free something. Okay, now we're completely winning. The question, as usually the question usually is... Wait, what? What did I say there? Question remains... Can I convert the position under time control? Okay, let's take here. Now let's go back, maybe. Check, bishop b4. h5, creating a threat, a weakness. hg pre-move, because it would be check. Even if black goes king d7, I want to take. It's a safe pre-move, and then rook d7 is winning the pawn. Bishop g6. Or knight h4. Actually, that's a fair question. Let's take. Rook f7, rook f6. I defend the knight. I defend f2 if needed. Okay. I regret this. I super regret this. Actually, I'm converting this pretty awfully. Oh, there's a nice trick. I'm not gonna say it in case they're stream sniping. Okay, they didn't even fall for it. It's fine. Where's the mate? Knight g6, rook anywhere is mate. Anywhere. No, they defended. Haha. I'm just gonna go back. Rook b3, bishop takes b3. Rook c3, knight e7. Knight g6, and then rook anywhere is going to be mate again. So I guess rook c6 again. But after that, black runs out of rooks. Thanks for the game. That was a scary ending. Okay, we're gonna get doubt. Let's berserk again, just for fun. Let's play d6. It's not pre-move e5. So bishop g5. I think we can go knight f6. But let's go g6. I think h6, g5 is the best way. Okay. Let's play castles. Well, dynamic. Okay, knight g4 is an idea. I guess b6, bishop b7 is an idea, but then e5 is something to worry about. e5 is a move as well. Queen e8, h6, d5. Is d5 here? Something I want to do? Maybe, yeah. Knight e4. Active. Takes. And white's position hopefully is going to be full of holes. Okay, knight d7, f6, h6, f6. Queen d7, bishop f5, bishop e6. c6. My camera died. I'll fix that very quickly. Oh yeah, just when I berserk. Amazing. Ugh. What should I do? Okay, I'll fix my camera first. It's bugging me. There we go. I need to get a adapter, which is the reason why it dies. Hello again. Gotta retype that again. Probably have to use the term CDC rating. I have no idea what to play here. King h8 f6. I don't think this is the way. Okay, King h8 is a useful move. Let's not torture ourselves too much. It's fine. But I think I should have gone 97, 96, 95 quicker. I see, I'm right below you. Yeah, I'm right. Right on the dirt. Right down there. Bishop e6. Queen d6, f6, h6. f6, e6, bishop e6. Knight d5. Takes, bishop e7, rook e8. 93 is a super threat, bishop e6 is a super threat. Okay. Rook f7. Bishop d4, e3. Okay, bishop d4. So bishop h5, g4, I'm just losing. So I'm not gonna go for that. I'm gonna go for bishop e6. And claim that provoking h3 is somehow, you know, somehow works. But maybe at some point I'll have to go bishop f5. Okay, let's put the rook. Actually, let's go c5. d4 is not possible because of bishop takes d4. Rook d1. I guess. Okay, that one doesn't worry me. Let's take. Let's play bishop c4. Not sure. Not sure anymore. Queen c6. I don't like the way it looks. Let's go queen c6. I wanted bishop c4, but bishop c4 directly, queen takes c4. Okay. I think I can go for this, actually. And I don't hate my position that much. I actually like it because my opponent's bishop is out of play. I can go e5 even. But that would bring their bishop back in the game, so... Not sure. Okay, time to think here. Rook g8. Time to think. Immediate. No, but I think rook g8 makes sense. There's an x-ray. And potentially bishop f6, maybe? Or maybe e5 gains a little bit of strength here. Okay, let's go e5. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go e5. It looks active. creating the threat of takes. If bishop g3, I guess I could go bishop f6, threatening to double. This is extremely complicated, but I think it works. Queen g6 maybe made more sense. Hey, Rainbow Teddy. Thanks for subscribing. Takes. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Actually, yeah, this is definitely a little bit, this is dubious. This doesn't work. It just looks scary. It doesn't work. Oh, maybe it does. Wow, maybe it does. That's insane. I mean, okay, I don't know. It shouldn't work. But for a second there, I thought it would. Oh, okay. But this should be fine for me. E3? I don't know. Bishop G5? Bishop H4? Oh, I have a super move. Oh no, it doesn't work. Oh no, it does work. Super move? It doesn't work. Bishop G5 maybe. Bishop H4, Rook G1. Yeah, that one I completely missed, of course. Queen C4. Queen B5, Queen C4. Queen E6 doesn't work, of course. This. Okay, bishop f4. Or e2. Let's go e2. This should be winning. Okay, Queen e4. Oof. Oof, I have an amazing move here. Bang. Okay, this is panicky, but I've got it. As long as my internet doesn't fail. There we go. Wow. Do I count? Give me a second. Yeah, regarding the learning bar, I'm not sure about my strength. Initially, I got my FIDE when I was at 1400 and 1284. And sadly, I didn't play any tournament after that. I managed to break through 2400 CDC. What is CDC? Control the center. Develop. Develop. And castle. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's chess.com. I see. Central for disease control. Managed to break through 24chess.com. I see. Yeah. Makes sense because YouTube has rules. But my FIDE is just 1691. Yeah, I played 2 tournaments recently. Oh, well, I mean, if you're losing to IMs... Are you losing to IMs and 2100 FIDE? Because there's a massive difference there. If you're losing to IMs, I mean, we're now 2. Like, I'm losing to IMs. So 2400, if you're expecting to beat IMs by being 2400chess.com, that's maybe a little bit unrealistic. So do I count as 2000 FIDE in strength or not? I think, I mean, if you're 2400chess.com, you must be pretty high. But I'll give you a little bit of an example. Mindchess.com is 2400 as well. And I know a very young, talented, and passionate player that plays in chess.com all the time, and he's 2600. We're right around the same rating, 2300 FIDE. I think online chess is a little bit tricky to evaluate. I don't know. I think it's more difficult to evaluate someone's strength with only online rating. I think you would be definitely near 2000 FIDE. But I would have to take a look at your games. I'm not sure. Do you work? I feel like in online chess, working your openings, if you're strong in your openings, you are more likely to have a good rating. It also depends on which time control. So for example, 2400 Blitz is not the same as 2400 Rapid, but 2400 Rapid should be, yeah, pretty strong. So you're saying, what did you say? You were saying that you played... I'm not sure how much you've been playing over-the-board chess. Over-the-board chess is like the sport, the proper sport. Online chess feels a little bit more like a video game sometimes, where, you know, something as irrelevant to chess as internet connection shouldn't matter that much, but it does. Am I a real person? I'm a psychopath. You know what? I used to use dark for everything, and I used to have dark in chess.com as well. And then I realized it's not good on my eyes. Some people say it's the other way around, though. So maybe I am a psychopath. Whenever I take the opponent's queen, they leave instantly. That makes sense. Chess.com, I assume. Center processes. Apparently, when I write it normally, it doesn't show you. Yeah, sorry. Can we... I'm just reading the ones we... Can we play a game? I'm planning to... Is this... we're still playing. No, I'm planning to finish this tournament. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, definitely get some more experience in over the board chess. Because 2400, if you're telling me that you have almost no experience in over the board chess and you have 2400 online, it does sound like, I mean, I don't want to romanticize this, and I don't want to give anyone hopes. But it does sound like you can cash in those as long as you play over the board. But over the board is very different. You have to manage your time well. You have to manage your nerves. You have to be physically fit. Sitting down in a chair for, like, I don't know, 4 hours is tough. Okay, we're gonna get a Caro-Kann. What did I play against the Caro-Kann? I think I played d3. And I play something like knight d2 or g3. Just play the modern or King's Indian attack. Okay. 140 points over the rating. Wow. Are you K40 or K20? Did it go up very, like, in one tournament or two tournaments very quickly? I mean, it's not, yeah. Just out of curiosity, I guess. Okay, so knight f6. My opponent's occupying the center, as they should. I'm gonna go knight e5. If f6 e4. So putting pressure on e5. And even if takes, for example, if bishop d6, I think I can castle, and takes, knight g5 is working. And if bishop d4, I have queen e1. So I think this is destroying black's structure a little bit. Castle short side makes sense. Do I go c3? c3 makes sense. c4? Not sure. Rook e1? h3? I'm gonna go c3, Philidor style. Everything we've done so far is pretty Philidor-ish. Oh, but maybe I'm blundering e3. Okay. So now this runs into knight c4. And now I'm positionally better. Because after takes, we're gonna gain the bishop pair. Not only that, I think c4 is slightly weak, and black is underdeveloped. So I think it worked out well. We have to keep an eye on the clock. 76 in first and the rest second. Wow. 16 years old. It makes sense. Wow, okay, well. Give me a second, sorry. Yeah, I think if you're patient and you continue playing OTB, it should be the way to go. But the change may be a little bit difficult because of the reasons we already kind of talked about. That's why Magnus is such a good example in terms of fitness. He's so active. Okay, knight g5, e takes d5, e takes d5, c takes d5, rook e1, rook e1 right away. Actually, rook e1 right away is maybe not that bad. But there's bishop g4, queen e2, queen e1. Okay, let's go rook. I feel like I messed up. h3? No, h3, knight 64. I have to make a move. Let's go rook e1. I don't like that. Knight d2? Knight d2 trying to threaten the same thing. Okay, let's go knight d2. I'm not sure. I got stuck there. So knight c4, queen c7. Oh no, it doesn't work. Knight 65, queen 65, bishop f4, queen h5. That almost worked. That would have been beautiful. Rook e1. Okay, takes, and knight c4 right away. Oh, but now it works. Because there's bishop f4. No, it doesn't work yet. Okay, let's abandon that. Oh, wait, there's a 4. h3, queen b3, queen c2, knight c4, knight e3, e6, d5. Seems to work. We come knight c4, queen c7, he takes d5, knight 65, bishop f4. And everything's hanging. But there's bishop takes d5 at the end. There's rook takes f4 as well. I don't know. Going for this with less than a minute is kind of crazy. Queen b3. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Yeah, this. This wasn't my proudest moment. King g1, king h1 is pretty bad as well. I should have gone rook e4. Yeah, king h1 is kind of disgusting. Okay. Bishop d6. That doesn't work. Oh, it does work. Oh, sorry. Because takes, rook e8 is getting back material. Which means that I'm gonna get f4 in and king g2, and I think the two knights are not that imposing. But it's still two knights in a essentially blitz game. And that can't be underestimated. Yeah, I'm quite sure there was a win there, but no, my pawn. Okay, they're not stream sniping, but I did try. Bishop e4 would be winning there. Okay, c4. Now my bishop all of a sudden lands in this amazing diagonal. Do I have to keep an eye on knight d3? I'll do it with rook a d1 to disappear away. I'm gonna put my bishop on e5. I'm gonna plant it there. Plant it. h4, h5 potentially. Rook d5, h4. I mean, I have 30 seconds. Should be fine. King f3. Okay, let's trade and let's go king f5. Oh, wait a second, that's blunder. King 3. King f3, king f5. What is my threat? Whoa. Yeah. Unfortunate. Thanks for the game. Oh, unfortunate. I do apologize for that. I think they were doing the right thing. Knight d3 doesn't work. Knight d2, king g4. Yeah, they were doing the right thing. Rook d2. What if you just play rook? Rook a3. Yeah, it is pretty scary. But it shouldn't be enough. What does the engine think? Wow, it's equal. I thought I was losing. What was going on in the middle? That was quitting chess move, yeah. It was unfortunate, but I think... Yeah, this works, bishop f4, as long as we go queen d4. Which I saw briefly, but I got discouraged by rook takes f4. But I have... Actually, not g takes f4, because black has this only move knight c6, gaining a tempo on the queen, which means that I don't get time for rook takes e6. The queen takes f4, not damaging my pawn structure. We have a rook for 2 knights, which is not that bad, and d5 is weak, probably gonna fall. So, yeah, but instead of that, I just took a pawn and, you know, everything's losing here. Knight f3, I thought it was working. Ah, but it's not, because there's... Stuff is hanging. Okay. King h1 is bad. Queen c6, I was happy to trade some pieces and get bishop d6. I don't know. Rook e7 says the engine. That was a close call. It's a close call. How do I go back? There we go. Well, we failed again to get the first place. So, and there's that. But congrats to Tal White Lady, which I think was Uziel. Right? Ampasant Pro and Merches. So yeah, we were tied third. Yeah, it worked out well. We had good games. I think probably the most instructive was... What was the most instructive one? Probably this one? Where we played the 4 knights and in like bishop c5 went wrong and we converted the advantage reasonably well by going for this bishop d5, bishop e3, creating a weakness. But yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. I think I'm gonna call it a day now. It was a good run. Let me know if you guys want a tournament. We do have a team. If you guys are interested, it's called Respectful Dave. If you guys join, I'll be, I don't know, potentially organizing a tournament where we can all play together, as many people have that that interest. But yeah, other than that, do your tactics, keep working hard, and thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. I will continue to upload things throughout the week, and I'll probably see you on Saturday and Sunday for streams in the morning and in the evening, or in the evening, sorry. Thank you, Shesha, and I wish you the best with Over the Board tournament. It's physically demanding, but it's exciting as well. You're interested, join the team and you're probably gonna win, as you won today. Okay guys,